Okay, so next we are going to talk about the circle of influence, or what I like to refer to as guilty by association. So really think about the people that it is that you hang out with, and think about what their habits are. And we have a tendency to hang out with like-minded people, and that is awesome because we want to be hanging around people that are like us and that think like us. But however, as we start to think about moving to a different place in our life, we have to think about those people, right? Are they moving into that same different place with us? Or are they really good and settled in the place that they're at? So wherever it is that we're trying to grow to and the person that we're trying to become, we need to think about who are those people that we're hanging out with. So, from a health perspective, if you take the 5 people that you hang around with the most, write their names down on a piece of paper. Now, start writing down what their health habits are and what their beliefs are as far as health is concerned. So do they believe, are they aligned with, being on a health journey and, having being at a good weight and eating food that's healthful, or are they junk food junkies and they don't care at all about what they eat as long as it's food they're good with it. Are they overweight? Are they underweight? Really look at their habits and how do they align with your current habits, and how do they align with the habits that you're trying to develop and create and strive to have. Because if they don't align with where you're going, then we have a little bit of a disconnect here. There is synergy and power in numbers. And so whenever you take 2, 3, 4, 5 people, put them together, there is an additional energy that all of a sudden joins this group. And as a result, what happens is there's a tendency for you either to be raised to a higher level or for you to come down to a lesser level, depending on where that group is and where you're striving to be. So the best way to get where you're going is to make sure that you are aligning with people who have already achieved what it is that you're striving to be at. At least have a couple of people in that circle of 5, that circle of influence, that are going to be influencing you in the proper way and in a great way. Now I'm going to tell you a little bit of story about the power of the influence. When I was reading the book, I believe The Blood Sugar Solution by Mark Hyman, he shared that there was this group of, church people that decided that they all wanted to get healthy and lose some weight. And the group as a whole was losing more weight than another group, even though this group as a whole wasn't really making the greatest food choices. But they all had the like mind that they were going to lose weight and they were going to become healthier. And so even though they weren't always making healthful choices or healthful decisions, as a whole, this group lost more weight than just that single person that was out there doing everything perfectly. And it's simply because of the synergy that they were all aligned in spirit and energy towards being able to release the weight. And so that is powerful. When you get people together that are trying to achieve the same thing, it's momentum and that's energy, and that's all towards where you want to be heading with your goal. So it's very, very powerful to be able to have a bunch of people together heading for the same goal. But by the same token, if you're with that bunch of people and they're not heading towards a good goal, that's going to actually bring you to that place that is not heading where maybe you want to be heading. So think about couples. If you have one part of the couple that is trying to lose weight or quit smoking or stop drinking or start exercising, whatever it is, and the other one doesn't, most of the time that first person will wind up giving up after some point in time, simply because it's too hard to have those conflicts in energy. Because they're not aligned, and couples relationships want to be aligned. And so what happens is the person that's striving for the healthful choices winds up coming back to the old paradigm, the old habit, simply because that other person is so grounded in it. So that's where when you get couples that together go on a new routine, whether it's exercise or eating healthy or whatever it is, then that tends to be so much more beneficial, and they actually wind up being far more successful because they're doing it together and they're aligning that energy, and that energy becomes synergistic. Now, if they get another couple that's doing it with them, even more powerful. The more people that you get together doing the same goal, the more synergistic that it becomes, and the more power that you actually gain just simply by being aligned with that group of people. So that
I'm
really
having
is.
some trouble with the connection. Please try again in a moment.
Sorry, that's my phone. I don't know why it's talking to me. I put it on silence. So just important to really make sure that you look at those people that you're hanging out with. The 5 people that you hang out with the most, kids don't count. So, when we have kids, they're there, and of course, they're a part of our lives. But, take the adults that you're hanging out with, and those 5 people that you're hanging out with the most, they become your circle of influence. That is very, very powerful. Choose those people, choose them carefully, make sure that they align with where it is that you are striving to be at. And make sure that you've got a couple of people in the group that have already been there, because if they've already been there, they know the path, and that makes it much easier for you because they've already got the mindset, and now you can start shifting and thinking in that mindset. So, a millionaire, right? Somebody who earns $1 million a year thinks very, very differently about money than somebody who only earns $50,000 a year. And it's the same thing with health, right? And so, somebody who earns $50,000 a year is thinking about how to get the bills paid and how do I manage the money that I have so we make sure that everything gets covered. And they have a tendency to live more in a just getting by kind of a mentality, whereas somebody who's earning $1 million a year has a mentality of how do I earn more money, how do I give more, how do I give back. And so that's a very, very different mentality. And it requires the mindset shift if you want to be at the level of earning that $1 million a year. So it's the same thing for health, right? If you're thinking about how do I avoid eating the chocolate cake and how do I avoid having that culotta from Dunkin' Donuts, and how do I avoid eating those cookies and the pasta and every processed food that the store has to offer, you're actually focusing on the things that you don't want, which is setting yourself up to have more of those things. Whereas if you're focusing on, health, and wow, I feel so great and I have so much energy and I love this food that I'm eating, and my fruit and vegetables and whatever it is, but you're not making food that major focus. You're making that feeling of health the major focus. And I just love how I feel, and I love how much energy I have, and this is just awesome. I am just living life and loving life, and I can do whatever it is that I want to do. I have the energy, the stamina, and the agility to be able to do that. That is a very, very different focus than constantly obsessing over what food I'm going to eat and what food I'm not going to eat. So you want to be aligned with people that have that different mindset, because it helps you to shift your focus. And as you shift your focus, it becomes a whole lot easier, because now you're not obsessing. You're able to just start focusing on some things that you really want to achieve. Now, one thing just to remind you of is that the subconscious mind, our subconscious mind, does not understand the negatives. So it goes back to remember to bring home a gallon of milk, and not don't forget to bring home a gallon of milk. Because the forget is what the subconscious mind is going to pick up on, rather than it's not going to recognize the don't. And so you want to always think in positives. If you are thinking in the things that you don't want, you're actually attracting them to you. Whereas if you think in the things that you do want, always in the positive, always in the affirmative, then you're better aligning your mind towards those things that you're trying to achieve. So Write down those 5 people that you spend most of your time with. Really write down their habits, write down your habits, your beliefs that we've already done in the previous section, and then see how well they align so that you know, do you need to be choosing other people to be spending more time with. Not that you then don't spend time with these other people, but maybe you spend a little less time with these other people, or you get these other people to be on board with where it is that you're heading and going. So that is our circle of influence. It's very powerful, so pay attention to it. And next we are going to talk about Dave Asprey's bulletproof diet.